Hello, friends of the self, of the true self, which is you as awareness, you as consciousness, you as the divine, the deepest aspect of yourself, reality, the real self, beyond your perceived relative self. And this is so relevant because in this life, there is so many different attributes and identities that you take on throughout this life. And you're continuously re-evaluating actually what you are and discovering soul aspects and whatever it is. But most people still don't know that you can also discover yourself on the level of consciousness, really as the divine, as a vast awareness, as consciousness itself. This is also discoverable, and this is your true self. It is Purusha. You discover yourself on the level of Purusha. You discover yourself on the level of God. It is without this whole notion of egotism or now I am this amazing new creature that is the divine or that has a distinct name to it or whatever it is. It is the level of yourself that is unchanging. And it's such a nice thing to discuss this actually right now, because it is a very sacred time of the year where this whole contemplation about the divine is actually in more people's minds and hearts. What is the divine truly? And the whole idea of an outside God that can obviously is a supportive agent, can be a supportive agent, but it also needs to be really said and become clear that you are this divine self. This divine self is the spacious awareness of what you are. It is the totality of all appearances inside of the space, as well as the absolute emptiness, the nothingness, the screen, you could say, on which appearances appear. That part of you that is pure presence. This can also be discovered. This is the divine. This is the divine. You are this divine. There is no separation. And what yogic philosophy has carved out, or Patanjali has carved out 2000 years ago, was the principle of Ishvara, which is master, the divine, the Lord, so to say, as a way and as a tool how you can come into contact with this from where you are at, without the knowledge of yourself being this divine self already. So he says, or he said in this sutra that I'm talking about today in 124, he talks about your divine self that is special, a special form of consciousness, a special form of your consciousness, basically. But you can develop a form of connection to this, and that there is something in you and as you that is free of afflictions, free of the kleshas. The kleshas come into play, and kleshas are ignorance, your forgetfulness, not knowing what you are, forgetfulness, and then due to this forgetfulness, not understanding you are the divine space. You are not what appears. Understanding due to this, all these afflictions come into play. Egotism and stealing from others, and being fearful, having anxieties. All this comes into place from this fundamental principle of ignorance, of forgetfulness. But there is a part, he says in this sutra, that doesn't have afflictions. There's a part in you that doesn't have karma, like thinking, why is this happening to me? Whatever is happening in your life, what kind of karma do I have? There's a part of you that doesn't have any karma, that is untouched by actions, and that also doesn't have vasanas. It doesn't have all these things. And he prescribes actually to come into a relationship with this divine or higher self, this part of yourself in the end, that doesn't have all these afflictions, all these karmic imprints, all these vasanas. And it's so helpful because it is not that there is another thing to do, or not that you feel so negative about it, but just to make a distinction. Hey, there's a part of yourself, the divine self, that doesn't have all this. Why do you actually want to discover the divine self? Why do you want to realize the true self? Because there is a part of yourself that doesn't have suffering, that doesn't have afflictions, that doesn't have karma, doesn't have vasanas, that is untouched and free of all of it. And just to know this, to start, basically what it is helping you with, to come into an idea that there is a divine self, or there is a higher self, there is something in you and as you know this, that has more of a clue, than you do, that has a wider knowing, that gives you insights, that seems to be steadily actually there for you. But to start this discriminating faculty also, even if it is still happening in a dual form of relationship, not yet as a union, which is more true, but as some form of dual relationship. You have a dual relationship to God, to your divine self. There is something that you can call upon. And always to keep also in the background of your mind that in the end, there is no separation between you and the divine. In the end, there is no dual relationship, because there is no subject either, and no object as a God. And so the divine self, the higher self, At some point you become that. You are that. It comes in as you. You are that divine self, higher self, true self. And until this is grokked, understood, realized, has shifted your stance into this wider awareness, into beingness, this is helpful to have a knowing there is a divine self that you can call upon. There is a part of your consciousness, a special consciousness that has no karma. There is a part of yourself that transcends this life, and not just this life, because also deeper imprints I mentioned, all lives. This is you as awareness. Remember when the Buddha said, under the tree, he saw all his different lifetimes passing by. He saw himself in different forms that he had taken on, different lifetimes, different dimensions, different beings. They were all him. It was like he saw all of them. But what did that seeing help him with was not to get identified with, oh, this I was, and then I was this in this lifetime, and then I was this in this lifetime, but to actually start to recognize that there's a part that is not at all identified. There is a vaster awareness that is aware, that is you. There is a vaster presence that is you. And there's always this distinction between the nature of reality, what you are in truth, presence, consciousness, awareness, and its expression, you and all other life forms, literally. You and all other life forms, you and all other human beings, and animal beings and plant beings, you and all other beings is the expression of consciousness, but it isn't inherently what you are. What you are is presence, is awareness, is not a form, is not an appearance. And so he gives us as one of the first tools in 123 and then the following ones, he says, come into contact with the divine self, the higher self. Form a relationship just by starting to understand, wow, there is something there that doesn't have karma, doesn't have afflictions. And even if in the beginning I have the feeling that I am calling to this, I don't know what to do, I am calling to this, I am asking for guidance, I am asking questions, looking for answers coming, starting to understand there is some form of higher guidance, higher knowing, vaster knowing, some form of vaster intelligence to simply already actually come into contact with this vaster intelligence as an experience in your life. This can be so helpful for spiritual awakening because it is ultimately what you want to awaken to. You want to awaken to yourself being that, knowing yourself as that, embodying that, knowing this is you. And just this coming into touch with this seeing that no matter who you are, where you live on this planet, there is this part of self, and there is something that guides you. There is something that can give you insights. There is something that you can turn to, not outside of yourself, but inside of yourself. There is something that transcends our limited intelligence, our limited ideas, our own stories, what happened to us in this life, what this person did to us, what we did to that person. All this kind of stuff. There is something that has more clue. There is something that knows better. And this can be explored. This can be found. This can be realized and recognized and remembered as yourself. And the more you remember yourself as that, the more this can actually operate as you, unimpeded. The more this can actually continuously inform life. Life as knowing, you as the knowing, you as awareness, you as presence, you as intelligence. And so now maybe is the time to strengthen even just this relationship to this divine essence, to your own understanding that ultimately you are this, to forming, to continuously becoming aware of this deeper aspect of yourself, and knowing there is something that guides you and your life exactly as it is. There is something that is untouched by anything and everything. So the Sutta 124 is about this divine self of you not having afflictions, not having karma, not being bound to consequences, not being bound to anything like that, not having vasanas, not having deeper latent impressions from something, simply being free of that and being there for you already now, even if it is in the beginning some form of dualistic perception that there is some God outside of yourself, that there is someone to call upon, that there is someone to pray to, that there is someone to consult. And more understanding that this consultation then is an internal consultation, is an internal meditation, is an internal contemplation. Also the capacity for everyone to turn inside towards this divine self, towards this higher self. Is and Ishvara is a form of authority. Also this knowledge, to have a knowledge that there is an inside authority, not an outside authority, someone else telling you what to do, how to do, what is best in your life, what is next in your life, what happens. But that there is something inside to consult for your own path, your own way. Namaste.